I've been coaching for like 18 years, and now I'm like giving that up to pursue something else. Absolutely terrifying.
Today on Deepfeed, I chat with Tommie Bennett, a professional snowboarder who has helped hundreds, if not thousands, of snowboarders go from beginners to elite athletes.
Now I get to go have fun, play, even though everyone else is miserable. I'm not. That's what I want to bring to people when they're on the mountain.
He has built a strong following of over 500,000 across Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. He is also the founder of a premium technical outerwear and gear brand called Bennett. Where are you hoping to take Bennett?
I want somebody to go climb Everest in our gear to prove that it works.
In this episode, we discuss Tommie's decision to go all in on content creation, his social media strategy and process.
How do I prove that this jacket works without telling you this works?
Product development, driving revenue, and much more. Let's get into it. Tommie, it is almost exactly 1 year today since you posted that video on YouTube that you were quitting full-time snowboard coaching to go all in on content. How did that feel when you published that video?
I'll be honest, it was terrifying.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I've been coaching for like 18 years, and now I'm like giving that up to pursue something else. Absolutely terrifying.
What motivated you to make that jump?
It's really, I really value happiness and freedom. And with my prior coaching job, some of the challenges that I face is like, oh, I have this really cool opportunity to go to Japan, but I can't go because I have a commitment to coaching or to the business or to the athletes. So it became a point where it's like, well, I don't have the freedom to go do other cool, exciting things because of this schedule commitment. So then I was like, well, if I can do this content creation thing full time, then I can have freedom, and then I can work around my own schedule, and I have like deliverables and obligations, but it's when I want to do them versus like somebody else's schedule.
Yeah. And, the oldest videos on your YouTube channel go back 4 years. And alongside that, you launched your technical outerwear brand, Bennett, in 2021. So you have been doing content and you have been an entrepreneur for many years. How has your approach to content creation evolved like in the past year?
Oh, that's great. So historically, I'm working 5 days a week with competitive athletes, and we had a weird split schedule where we'd have Tuesdays and Saturdays off. So then on a Tuesday or Saturday, I'd create content.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to do as much content creation of that on those days off and then go home and edit. And then during the week when I was like working my normal job, I'd be editing at night. So I'm like constantly doing stuff. Now I have the freedom to go snowboard and then create content whenever I want. So then a lot of the content I'm trying to create is on the mountain in the middle of winter.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to find like, okay, what are the best days that isn't super cold and negative 30 degrees, which the cameras don't function, or I'm looking for something where it's like sunny and beautiful out and it makes that visual experience for the user way better. It's a beautiful sunny day. So it's changed where I can just have the freedom to go create the content when I want, which has been super awesome. I've been enjoying that.
How do you plan your ideas and your schedule?
It's more like I like check the weather.
Yeah.
The day before, I just see what tomorrow brings. And it's like, oh, it's sunny, let's film something. And if it's not sunny, I just go ride with my friends and go hang out because I have that freedom. And then I usually schedule everything like I'm 1 to 2 weeks of content ahead of schedule, just in case there's a storm that comes in that's 10 days long. I'm not SOL. I have all this content like created and like at least organized and structured. And then I usually film on the mountain for about 3 to 4 hours, get there at 8 o'clock, start filming by 9 to 12, 9 to 1. And usually when I'm like getting hungry is when I leave.
Yeah.
Then I just like stop and call it a day.
But what about your ideas for, especially the educational content?
Historically, like I've done a really bad job, honestly, of coming up with this plan because a lot of times it's like what's in the moment. I might have had a DM the night before and like, oh, I'm struggling with this because I do a lot of snowboard educational content, get DMs, I'm struggling with this. Cool, I'm going to go make a video on that. Or it's like, okay, what does the day present? What are the conditions present? How am I feeling? I have a lot of injuries, broken back and hip and some other stuff I deal with. So it's like, it's more like, what do I feel like my heart wants to do in that moment that's going to be best for the end user? And I could pre-plan all this stuff and then it just doesn't seem as authentic and doesn't seem as organic. And I just like, I've been snowboarding and doing this stuff for a long time that I just kind of know the progressions and know what to say and how to do it. But it's like it's more in the moment, which is probably Sometimes I feel like it's like not like, oh, could it be better if I had it structured and organized? But then sometimes I'm like, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Yeah, do you have different kinds of content strategy or pillars that go toward different business ventures? Because you have Benetech,
hmm
you also just launched an online course,
hmm
and you have a summer camp. So how do you kind of split up your content to promote the different things you have going on?
And that's a great question because you're right. I do have a lot on my table all the time. So there's like three pillars that I have. One is going to be educational content. The next pillar is going to be entertaining content. And then I have my deliverables, and the deliverables is either like a sponsorship obligation or it's my owned product, like you said. So then in the morning around 8, 9 o'clock, I'll post the content on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and I'll post a deliverable. And then around 3 p.m. later that day, I'll just check and see how well that's performing. And if it's performing great, I just let that thing sit and just grow. If it's not performing as well, then I'll post something else in the afternoon around 5 p.m. with either the educational or the entertainment. Because at the end of the day, it's about providing a service to the end user as a snowboarder. And the deliverables that I have, whether it's from me or sponsorships, is trying to help the end user.
Yeah.
So then when I have the end user in mind, it's like, I don't want to just create content and say like, buy my stuff, but it's more like, here's how my content's going to solve your problem. And if it's summer camp, you want to become a better snowboarder and get feedback. If it's outerwear, it's like, I need something that's going to function in the middle of winter. I gear that towards solving the problem. But again, you're also dealing with human behavior and algorithms and all that fun stuff where it's like, if it's not performing, I can have that backup plan of the afternoon allows me to create the educational or entertainment content, which theoretically I would post to help the end user and continue to grow the audience.
How do you define performing well?
That's a great question. In the summer, my content doesn't perform that well because it's out of sight, out of mind. Snowboard content in the summer is like, oh, I'm not snowboarding. Like I'm worried about mountain biking and going to the beach and doing all this other stuff. So like, I post stuff and just kind of put stuff out there. But in the winter, it's usually like, I know a post is doing really well. If it gets 1,000 likes within the first hour, I know that thing's going to take off.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we would do 1,000 likes in 30 minutes. It's really popping off. I've had videos get a million views in 24 hours. And I can know based on that first initial 30 minutes to an hour. If it's like 1,000 likes within that 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock, then that's when I will post something. So I'm looking for that 1,000 like threshold.
Is this the same on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube?
Pretty much, I would say pretty much across the board, yeah.
Are those the main platforms you focus on?
I love Instagram. I vibe with it. So that's where like kind of my like a lot of my energy and soul goes to. So like that's kind of my priority. And then it would be YouTube, and then it's TikTok. And maybe like TikTok, I haven't really figured it out yet. I have a bit of a following on there, but I haven't really figured it out where every video is going viral. But I also see somebody who has 1 million followers has like their last 3 videos got like 1,000 views. You're like, I don't understand this algorithm at all, but I post stuff on there. So I'd say, yeah, it's about the same on all 3.
How do you approach long form video on YouTube versus short form video, like across platforms?
That's a great idea or a great question because Instagram, YouTube Shorts, and TikTok is like, I need to grab your attention within the first 2 seconds. So I need something that's super exciting, get your attention. And I end up filming content and doing voiceovers later. And then that allows me to do like 50 takes of an intro that I see fit, and then I can cut it up and take out all the pauses and ums or whatever and just like try to make that 2 seconds as like powerful as possible, whether it's provoking an emotional response to something or it's subconsciously getting somebody to ask a question. Have you ever wanted to try this? And somebody would be like, no, but now I'm curious. Or they would ask themselves, yes, I've always wanted to learn. By getting them to say yes within the first 2 seconds, I've earned the next 10 seconds. Within the next 10 seconds, I'm trying to get somebody to understand why they need to stay to the end of the video. Because that helps the algorithm. If they stay for the whole entire thing, it looks good. And then at the end, I'll have like a call to action. So like the most important thing is like the first couple seconds. On long form it's like you're kind of expecting a little bit more of a buy-in because I'm clicking on this video. I know it's 20 minutes. I'm going to check it out. I still have to get your attention, but I feel like Instagram's more interruption. I have to forcefully get your attention. Whereas YouTube, it's I voluntarily clicked on this. I'm more invested, interested if I've clicked on it. Now, it's still extremely important to keep their attention, but I feel like I have a little bit more leniency on the first 10 seconds instead of first 2 seconds.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, on YouTube, you have, I think, almost 150,000 subscribers with really solid viewership. Do you have a lot of intention behind how you're packaging your long-form content in terms of your thumbnail and titles?
I have some thoughts and theories on what I've done in the past, and I feel like they've performed okay. I feel like the potential growth that I have on YouTube is a lot more than what I currently have. And so on thumbnails, I would like rotoscope my snowboarding out and then change the color of the background. Now, the thought was every time you see you're going through your homepage and you're going to know it's my video because I have this particular style.
Yeah.
I think that style helps bring somebody becomes familiar with it, but I don't know if that necessarily draws additional people in. So that's something I'm going to experiment with this year. And I tried to make the titles short, concise, and as curiosity-based as possible. But I'm also trying to balance, like, with YouTube, there's like the two things you're facing is evergreen content, which are searchable, how to snowboard. Somebody's going to go find that. I want them to see my video. But then there's also the recommended algorithm of like, you need this video. So then I usually split my videos 50% of keyword optimized searchable video, and the other one is more recommended. And then the recommended is more curious based questions, where the keyword search is more how to blank.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned earlier that you kind of decide the day before for content for short form. Is it the same for long form?
I don't want to say yes, but it is. It really is, because again, with snowboarding, sometimes you show up to the mountain and it's sunny, it's beautiful, but it is so icy. The video that I wanted to create, and I just spent the last 4 days typing out script and doing this, the conditions may not actually allow that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's icy and I can't hold an edge as well, and it's dangerous and it's sketchy and my filmer can't keep up. And now it's like, well, I have to like change the entire thing. So that's what's really geared me to just making it up a little bit more on the fly. It's because I don't know what I get. So I go like have these ideas and I go do a run, feel out the conditions, feel out like everything that's going on, and then I'll figure out the video. But I've also been instructing and coaching for 18 years. So when I want to do a how to blank, I already know the 5 steps I want to do, and then I can just present that. Like, I feel like I own that space of like how to get the information across based on the conditions that are at hand. So it's like this, it's like a double-edged sword, because I want to be prepared and be concise and do an awesome job, but that might have just wasted the last 4 days of my time preparing. So then it's like, well, that's back to square one.
Yeah. No,
Still trying to solve that problem.
that makes a lot of sense. How has your life changed? Like, are you happier now that you're all in on content?
No. Now, I've like my entire life, and I'm like, I got this from my dad. Like, my dad's like just one of my favorite people in the world. Whether I'm broke or not, I've been happy, and I've really prioritized happiness. Like, I really just want to like go through life just happy. It's such a you see so many people struggling and stressing and all this, and it's like happiness. I don't know the answer to happiness, but for me, it's a mindset, and being optimistic and happy is just who I am. Within the going full-time on YouTube, I just have more freedom, which just minimizes stress, but I wouldn't say I'm more happy. I'm a pretty happy person.
I love that. That's really good. Good for you.
In theory, right? You know, we have our down days and our up days and all that, but overall, like I'm pretty happy.
Yeah. Where does the majority of your revenue come from?
Right now, most of my revenue is coming from sponsorships. That's the most. And then it's Benetech, then summer camp, and then ad rev.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I would put it.
Mm-hmm.
And Yeah, that's how I put that.
Yo, can you tell us a little bit about some kinds of brands you work with or some of your favorite collaborations you've done?
Yeah, it's funny because I get hit up on Instagram almost every day. I get emails all the time like, come work with us, all blah, blah. And I'm like very anti a lot of partnerships for two reasons. One, it's not actually favoring the like, it doesn't favor me. They're like, oh, well, work with us and we'll give you 3% commission. You're like, that doesn't make sense to me. 3% commission on a $20 product is like, cool, you might as well just give me a high five and a good job. Where I
Yeah.
could have, that deliverable space could have been for summer camp. That could have been for my own product. That's building my business and helping the end user. So then I'm not really incentivized to work with a lot of brands. Secondly, a lot of their stuff that they're promoting is I don't believe in. Because at the end of the day, I really care about the end user. I care about the snowboarder. I care about the person who's buying the gear. And if I'm just selling you trash, then your relationship with me changes because you don't trust me anymore because I'm just trying to make a dollar. But is the dollar, a single dollar, worth it? No, it's not worth the trust in the relationship. So I'm very like, don't work with a lot of people. And if I do work with a company, it's because I believe in the product is going to help the end user. So I do work with Insta360, they're a camera company, and they have this camera that you just get on a little stick, you hold it out, and it films you. And then it magically removes the selfie stick pole, and it looks awesome.
Yeah.
But the user that usually buys that snowboards alone. They don't have a friend who's going to film them, or the friend doesn't want to film you. So now it helps that person by getting shots and they're stoked and they post it on Instagram, but they do it by themselves. So then it's like, I love this company because it solves a problem that people don't know they have. And it actually helps the end user. So like those kind of companies that I work with, love it. But then I'm also hesitant on certain partnerships where it's like I'm committed to riding certain gear. What if I don't like it? What if it sucks? What if I want to try something else? Now I no longer have the freedom. So I usually like, if I do a or partnership, let's call it, with a snowboard brand, let's call it like a actual snowboarding and that, it's usually like a brand deal, meaning I have deliverables of like one video, one Instagram post, one TikTok, one YouTube short, and then I make the content and then our relationship is done. I love that because I can ride that board and I'm stoked on it and we do something and I believe in the product. But what about the next day? That snowboard doesn't work good in this situation. I'm stuck with it. So I like those like short-term relationships, maybe not the best financially, but for the end user, it's like, and for me, I allow that freedom. That control of the freedom just goes like snowboard on the gear I want.
Yeah. So what does a good like brand partnership structure look like for you? Like what is your ideal offer from a brand exactly?
Least amount of deliverables, max amount of money.
Yeah.
Right? That's the goal. But like certain brand deals, like they may pay $5,000 and I just have to do one long form video, and that long form video could be 30-second ad, or sorry, a 1-minute ad spot, or the whole video's on it. Cool. That's fine. I can do that. And then I'll do an Instagram post and a YouTube post or YouTube short and TikTok. And it's like $5,000 and just one video per social media platform. That's like ideal. And you're like, pay me like $5,000 to $10,000 depending on the company and how big they are. It will change. And whatever, a lot of times I get an email like, oh, what's your rate? I just shoot for the moon. And a lot of times they'll negotiate you down. And it's like, cool, I just made $2,000 more than I would have settled for because I'd said $10,000 and they're like, oh, we'll pay you $7,000. It's like, cool, I would have settled for $5,000.
Right.
So I'm always like, I'll just shoot them high. And I worked with a company. They're like, we want to do a single video with you. I was like, cool, $10,000. They're like, we can't do that. Will you do $1,000? I said, no.
Yeah.
Came back to me the next year. Hey, we want to do a deal with you. We'll pay you a lot more. And I was like, cool, sounds good. But I also want to set the expectation that I'm not just going to do $1,000.
Yeah.
Because that post single-handedly could have built my brand. I could have sold 3 pairs of goggles. I could have sold a pair of goggles. They'd love it. Now the next 10 years they buy stuff. So that like that $1,000, I would rather invest that back into my own brand and my own stuff that's going to help that person and help me along the way.
Mm-hmm. Are there any brands that you really want to work with that are kind of on your wish list that haven't reached out yet?
I would love to work with Red Bull.
Yeah, Red Bull. Let's go.
Yeah. I heard it gives you wings, you know?
Yeah.
I got a bad hip trying to get places, right? So, yeah, I think that would be really cool. I think like a brand like that is just cool because they are so heavily involved in the snowboard industry. And they do really cool projects, and being involved in those cool projects sounds really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably one of them. Yeah.
I want to talk about Benetech for a bit, as well as how you approach, Tommie Bennett the person and Benetech the brand. And do you think, you've built a personal brand? Because I did notice on Benetech's website that you're not like featured very prominently throughout. Like you're mentioned on the about page, but you're not like on the homepage or a prominent part of the brand. And I'm curious what the reason is behind that.
And that's such a good question, because it's a double-edged sword, because I am trying to separate Benetech from the Tommie Bennett entity, or whatever you want to say. Because like I want Benetech to stand on its own, have its own 2 feet, have its credibility, and be a self-sustaining business, because the end goal is to let that company run without me. And that is the fear of, I've had a broken back, hit 2 hip surgeries. What if all of a sudden I can no longer snowboard and I'm not the driving force? I want that company to have its own legs so it can run. The double-edged sword is it's still small, and I should put myself on that more, and that's our plan for this year, is to do that. Historically, I've just been hesitant of like, how much do I want that to be me? Now, there's also like a lot of the public's opinion of Benetech is it's just merch. And that drives me nuts, because to me, merch is, I took somebody else's hoodie and put my logo on it, like white labeling. Like, that's not what we do. We have our own manufacturers who do custom cuts. So we like this, we don't like this. This is what we're changing. Like, everything's customized to us, and it's not just a blank. So then it's not just merch, and we test everything, and we've put so much energy into it, and everyone's like, it's just merch. And I'm like, I'm trying to break that perception. That's also why I've tried to separate myself a little bit more, so that it can stand on its own, so I can change that, or I can like change that narrative.
Where does that come from, you think, that it's merch?
It's got to just be the YouTuber thing, because I don't really see myself as like a YouTuber. I'm a content creator, and I'm a snowboard coach that coaches in person and online. That's kind of how I would like describe what I do. But because they just see that, that dude's a YouTuber, you automatically associate with every other YouTuber who's ever done merch, both positive and negatively. That association is their story. Their story is their story, and now I have to rewrite their story with a better story. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I'm trying to do, and that's something that we're constantly working on. Yeah, it's a fun little challenge, because like I want to be associated with it, but I also don't. So I think I need to pick a lane a little bit more. And I think at the end of the day, like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm like trial by fire, figure it out, like just what works, what doesn't work. I've done a lot of things, but I've messed up a lot of things. I just try to learn from it. And then the cool thing about what we do is you get to try again. Mm-hmm. I posted 1,200 days on Instagram in a row. Well, it didn't work today. Cool, I can try again tomorrow. That is like the beauty of it. If it doesn't work this year, cool, try it again next year. As long as we don't go bankrupt, right? But I could try it again and try to figure it out and solve these problems. And I think that's what's so fun about the entrepreneur space is it's problem solving. I didn't go to college. I didn't have formal education. I did terrible in school. I hated school. I just struggled with it. I just want to go snowboard. And I'm like dyslexic and all this, like whatever this, but I don't use that as an excuse. But what I am good at is I'm resourceful, I'm resilient, and I'm going to figure it out. And so that's been one of the most exciting parts of Benetech is you're just going to figure it out. Cool, the page isn't doing good. Cool, how do we change it? We figured it out. So
what inspired you to launch Benetech?
That's actually, so I was at Mount Hood in the middle of the summer, and this is like a mountain. It's a glacier. It's actually on a volcano. It's considered active volcano. Sketchy, right? So now we're on this volcano, and it's 70 degrees out. We're snowboarding, got my crew. I'm coaching by like 15 people. We're hanging out. And this random storm really literally just shows up. And maybe a month prior, a random manufacturer just hit me up on Instagram. Hey, we do stuff. Do you want some samples? I was like, yeah, sure. Make this. Just kind of didn't think about it. Fast forward to summer camp, I had a piece of their, like a Benetech sample of a waterproof tech hoodie sitting in the bottom of my jacket, and it's been there for 3 weeks because it doesn't rain there. So it's been sitting in my backpack, and it finally rained. I put it on, and I'm like, this is okay. It's a little okay. We'll try it out. And then out of like the 20 people we had, like 15 of them went home because it was raining. And a couple of people are like, well, I want to stay. And they're all drenched, they're wet, they're miserable, they're soaked. And I'm sitting here like, interesting. The sun comes out, clouds go away, and I'm sitting here like, oh, wow, 5 minutes later, my jacket's dry and I'm not wet. I'm looking at my campers next to me soaking wet, and I'm like, this thing's amazing. And that's when I knew this needs to be on market because it solved a problem. In the Pacific Northwest, I lived in Oregon for 3 years. It rains all the time. It hovers around 34 degrees. So if it snows, it hits you and then you get soaking wet to your underwear every day you ride.
Yeah.
It's a miserable experience. It's not fun. But if you have a jacket that can help you not get soaked to your underwear, then that miserable experience is now enjoyable. Now I get to go have fun, play, even though everyone else is miserable. I'm not. That's what I want to bring to people when they're on the mountain. So that's like how we like started with Benetech.
When you say we, how big is the team?
Oh, we're massive. We have like 3 people. So it's me, my wife, and then this awesome, our creative director named Hillary. She's Canadian. And so she handles all the creative side. And I'm a bit challenging to work with because we're going to do a tech hoodie. And I'm like, Hillary, make me 30 different graphic designs to go on this jacket and I'll choose my top 5. And she's like, okay. And she's like, she'll say, okay. And she'll make me 30 designs because I'm very visual. I'm not creative, but I'm visual. So I'm like, oh, I love that and that and that and that. Cool, done. But I had to see 30 examples to come down to 5. And then we'll usually get samples made from our manufacturer of all 30. And then I'll see them in person. Be like, I love these. We're going to run with these the next year. And then those 30 samples we get to sell to my audience as one-of-ones. There's jackets out there that people have that will never be made. And they get something special that one of one. And they ride and they're like, oh, look at this sick jacket. Where'd you get it? You'll never get that again. So it brings our like family together where you get to like have something special.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't really make money on those samples. I just get to cover costs. So now I break even on samples. I get to decide what I want and I get to like have somebody have something special. So that's kind of how I do that. So that's our team. And then my wife handles all of the like shipping stuff that we do out of our house, which we'll have some random stuff at our house. We do have a fulfillment center that takes care of like 90% of stuff. So then Natalie will take care of the stuff, some stuff from the house. She'll do like emails, customer service, like that kind of stuff. And then my job is to like envisionary, implementation, and create content.
You said before that you're not creative. Why would you say that?
I'm not traditionally creative where I can like draw something and write something down, draw something, or I can't see what, like, oh, I want this jacket to look like this. I have no idea. Just imagine you're staring down like a blank hole and nothing's there. That's my literal visualization when I look at a jacket. I'm like, I don't know what that is. But if I see something, I love that. Same example with like the logo. What do you want the logo to look like? Give me some inspiration. I'm like, I have no idea. It's just blank. I have nothing. You give me like 30 examples. I'm like, I love that. Let's change it a little bit. We're done. Which is really challenging, but Hillary is very flexible with me and understands how my mind works, and she accommodates like crazy.
I still think that is creative though, because you know it when you see it kind of, and you have taste and you know what you want. So I think that does make you creative, Tommie. I just want to put that out there.
It's like, I don't know. It's like negatively creative. It's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just decisive. Is that creativity or am I just decisive?
I think curation is creativity as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah. That'll be hour 4.
Yeah. For Benetech, what are some of the best sellers, or like what's the most popular item that you've produced so far?
So we have this waterproof tech hoodie that we call it liquid paint, and just imagine like 5 different colors and then they're just swirled together, put on a jacket. And it's like bright, it's awesome. And I have 2 thought processes when it comes to like choosing a garment. Either I want it to be loud and people want to be seen, or I want to be quiet and low key and not be seen. So we divide our product line into 2, and it's exciting and wild or low key. And the exciting and wild one does really good on social media because I'll just make a random post of me doing something wild or educational online, and then I get DM'd, I want this jacket. So then because it's loud and exciting, it's selling itself. drive traffic to the website, and then somebody was like, I like this just plain basic other jacket, or they buy the wild jacket. So then it works really well with the content that I create because it's seen, like in a month, I'll get 5 million people to see my profile on Instagram. Cool, 5 million people saw that jacket.
Yeah.
Not everyone goes to the website, but at least they saw it. And that's like a pretty good start. And
Out of all the channels you're on, like, what is the biggest driver to the website or the biggest driver of sales?
biggest driver would be organic traffic from Instagram, but then I also do paid ads. So this guy, Russell Brunson, who I follow a bunch, he talks about dramatic demonstrations. So how do I prove that this jacket works without telling you this works? Directly, verbally. So it's like, oh, well, I'm going to go strap in my snowboard on top of my car on my roof rack and go into a car wash. Now we're going to spray my jacket for 30 seconds and prove that it works. Then I'll open the jacket and I'll show that the inside jacket's dry. Cool, I didn't tell you it was waterproof, but I showed you. I proved that it worked. And so that's been like the organic traffic. So I'll do videos like that and then I'll test them, and whatever organically does well, boom, pump ads to it so that it's just seen over and over and over. Some would say you need to see it ad 7 times before somebody buys. So now that thing can live and just be repeated and repeated and repeated, but it's been proven to work organically.
Yeah, that's
how I structure that. Plus it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah. So Instagram is the main driver.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
In terms of your marketing funnel, like on a high level, because you're using SMS, you're using email as well, like what does the whole, linear process look like for conversion?
It's been interesting because like our website, we drove 76,000 people to our website, which is a lot, but not a lot. And we had 0.97 conversion rate. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. So it's like, if I could simply get my conversion rate to be 2%, my business doubles. Our biggest challenge, conversions are terrible. We don't have enough inventory. So even though I had terrible conversions and a decent amount of traffic, we sold out. So then going into this year, to answer your question about conversion. So like people come in mostly from Instagram and they go to the website and it's a 0.97 conversion. We do some SMS, and that's something we started at the end of the season, kind of when we didn't have a lot of inventory. So it's kind of like been something that we're going to test this year. Emails, we have not done email marketing as awesome as we could. And a lot of it just comes down to bandwidth. And it like all last year was just me.
Yeah.
My wife helped me out towards the end of the season. I didn't have Hillary. I didn't have a lot of help. So it's like, well, do I work on optimizing the website or driving traffic? Well, I'm just going to make a YouTube video or an Instagram video or content where I most enjoy that process the most. So I don't know if I've really answered your question, but our goal right now is drive traffic. And then this season is really focused on conversion and making the website more awesome.
How do you think you can make your website more awesome?
I think people go into our website with a thought of not confident in purchasing, whether that's because my face and name is not on it, or we just look like everyone else and we're not breaking through the noise. So going into this season, we're going to put my face on it a bit more. We're also going to educate the consumer because about 80% of my audience is a beginner snowboarder, and there's some technical aspects like on a goggle lens, there's 2 lenses. There's a front and there's a back. Okay, cool. And I talk about, there's 2 layered lenses. They're awesome. But the end user doesn't understand that. So what we're going to do is implement a lot more education on our website, to get people to trust us, to stay on the website, but also know what these features are so that we're now becoming the resource for them so they fully understand. So when you have 2 lenses, you have an outside lens that helps protect you from the cold weather, and the inside lens helps just buffer you from yourself to the outside. So now when you have 2 lenses, all of a sudden you're like 80%, maybe 80% less likely to fog because you have 2 layers. As soon as you take 1 layer off, you fog almost instantly. Mm-hmm. I know this because I ripped a lens out to test it because I asked, why do we have 2 lenses? It's something that everybody knows, but do we really know? So I just ripped it out. Within like 4 minutes of me just having them on, they fogged. Where before, I've never had fogging in those goggles in the 100 days I rode before. So educating the users on why, I'm hoping that builds trust. And so that when they go to the website and they can buy with confidence. And if I could do that and even just go from a 1% conversion to 2%, our business doubles.
Yeah.
And if I get to 4%, which is what I'm hoping, is a game changer as long as we have the inventory.
No, I love that. I could definitely see your content. Like if you do a demo and you post it on short form, like that short form could live on the website on that product page, for example. I think that would work really well too. As a test, I don't know, but I would love, that is something I noticed on the website. I did want to see you a little more. So I love hearing that you are going to kind of do a test run of that. For product development, I think it was 2023 or 2022, you did a Kickstarter campaign for one of the goggles. How do you typically decide like what products you are going to produce and get inspiration there?
So I originally started, so like the start of Benetech originally was going to be a goggle company. And I had these ideas of a goggle company. And because I had an amazing experience when I was younger where like you have like next year's goggles. So they come out seasonal in the snowboard industry. You get a goggle has this color. Next year has a different color and a different color. Well, they always come out like you can get samples a year earlier. So I remember riding for Oakley and having next year's goggles. I'm like, these are so cool. It makes me excited and feel good. And I want to go snowboard. So I wanted to bring that to the market. And so I was like, I want to do goggles because everyone uses goggles. So I'm also thinking about with goggles, skiers and snowboarders can use them. So now it's doubled the population of who could use it, not just snowboarders. And so I was like, I want to do goggles, but I don't want to just do white label goggles because I don't want to put my name on somebody else's stuff. I want to create my own. So then to develop those goggles took like 40 months.
Wow.
Absolutely miserable. So like, okay, we got these goggles and we want to make this small change over here. That would take 90 days. That's 3 months. So let's do 5 small changes. That's 15 months. And I'm just like, oh. So originally I was like, I got this concept, this idea, let's crowdfund it because I think this is going to be quick and easy to get these produced. So I do a crowdfunding. We raise between $15,000 and $20,000. Oh, I'm stoked. I wasn't able to deliver those goggles for 2 years, which is super frustrating for the end user. And even my friends like, so are you scamming these people? I'm like, no, they're coming. It's just, I want them to be so perfect because I care about the end user. And so then that took 40 months to produce. Well, while those were in the background being produced is when we ended up going with the hoodies and really drove the hoodies because that was kind of like something, but it's kind of on the back burner. So not to contradict my story earlier, the goggles were the first thing that we started, but it didn't go to market first. The hoodies went to market, and that's where it really drove the company. And then nowadays, to decide what product I want to actually put out there is really just, again, going back to, is this solving a problem? I did a survey on my Instagram, and I was like, do you wear a jacket or a hoodie when you snowboard? 60% of people say, I wear a jacket. I probably should be doing jackets because that's where most of the market is. I should do something, but I can't just do the same thing. I have to innovate and make it better, or else I'm not going to leave the brand I'm already loyal to.
Yeah. How do you conduct that market research to know that you're making it better?
A lot of it's Instagram polls and stories and questions, talking to people, trying to just get as much feel as possible as like different people. But I'm thankful to have a bit of a following on Instagram where I can ask a question and get a couple thousand responses. Okay, ask it again and accumulate, or I'll do surveys and stuff. I'll just click this link and go over here, and when somebody will randomly win sticker pack and people are like, oh my God, I want to win stickers, and they'll do the survey. So I'll incentivize them a bit, but just trying to do as much research on Instagram as possible, which is not like necessarily a global perspective from Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok because it's its own subset of audience. But I try to just ask as many questions as possible and intuition, like, I think we need to do this.
Where are you hoping to take Benetech, the next like 3 to 5 years?
In like 20 years, I want to be as big as like the Patagonias and the North Face with quality product. I want somebody to go climb Everest in our gear to prove that it works. And I have all these challenges that I want to do. 24 hours in our puffy jacket in the middle of winter. Am I going to die? Hopefully not. That's like the end goal is I want to just have extremely high quality product delivered to like that market. And that market is somebody who needs to be warm in cold weather. We're starting in the snowboard industry and we're doing a lot of stuff, but eventually I want to be able to like do bigger and better stuff, which is pretty exciting and pretty fun. In the next 3 years, I want to be able to have a handle on scaling the business. Because originally when I created Bennett Tech, I had like $1,200. That turned into like $4,000. That turned into $12,000. That turned into of like reinvesting all the inventory going to $20,000. And this year I'm investing about $50,000 into inventory. But I have no loans, I have no investors, I have no investors, and I have like, I'll do like a business loan that I'll pay back, but I have no investors. So it's like, it's all on me, which I'm excited about because I don't want somebody to tell me how to do it. I just want to figure it out on my own.
Yeah.
So then I'll have just reinvest. So then like in the next 3 years, I'm hoping to double. And then it's like scalability. When I have 10,000 units, I'm like, oh my gosh, how do I do this? But our goal is to be able to know how to sell 10,000 units, both in customer acquisition costs, understanding the best ways to sell it. So by the time we get to 10,000 units, that we can sell 10,000 units. I don't want to be in a position where it's like 10,000 units and we have no idea how to sell this. That's a terrible idea.
How do you kind of navigate the lead time with the development? Do you just need a ton of products like in development so they're kind of layered in terms of when they're ready to go to market?
It's been a big struggle that we've had because last year we went to Las Vegas to it's called like the Sourcing Magic Show or something. It's in Vegas and there's like 948 vendors of all sorts of different manufacturers. We go there, we try to test them out. So I order a bunch of samples and then I'm trying to be ahead of the schedule as much as possible. But sometimes dealing with manufacturers, they're like, yeah, it'll take 2 weeks to get, they tell you 2 weeks. One manufacturer took 8 months to give me a sample. I'm like, well, I was hoping that you would do a good job and I was hoping this would work. So now here I am in like last month getting samples. So that's been like really hard to navigate is the lead time and that because they tell you one thing, the actual reality is not that. That's been really challenging, really frustrating. No, one of the biggest challenges we face as a winter company is we do probably 80% of our sales in November, December, January. 3 months of the year, 80%. And then we trickle out some product here and there, but it's pre-Christmas sales. And then right at Christmas and a little bit in January, that's been really challenging with the lead times because we need stuff in September. Going into this year, I'm still waiting for manufacturer. We gave them stuff 6 months ago and they still haven't gotten it to us yet. So then when dealing with them, I'm like, we have a hard set date of this date, which I always push about 4 to 6 weeks earlier than it should be. Because they're usually not going to make the lead time. So I'm like, hard set date, October 1. Because I hopefully get it by November 15th.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare. It is a nightmare.
Yeah, that's what I hear from a lot of people. The lead time is a really big struggle. A lot of our clients, too, at Posture, we've missed launch dates and stuff just because the process is brutal. In terms of, I would love to chat a little bit too about the online course you just launched. Like what is the premise of the course?
My goal is to be able to have a resource that has a systematic way of teaching you how to snowboard. And there's 3 different pillars that I have within our course, or my course. It is absolute beginner. I've never snowboarded. I have no idea how to layer my jackets. I have no idea what to expect. I have no idea how to read a trail map, all the way to what is the snowboard, what is the label. So I walk you through step by step. Everything you need to know as a beginner. That's like we call it we have like season passes. That's like our green pass associated with green runs or for beginners. So it's like our green pass. And then we have our blue pass, which is our intermediate and advanced. And it's a systematic way to go from understanding body positions, which is the biggest game changer in snowboarding. If you can understand the right body position at the right time, you're going to be able to increase performance and decrease injuries. And then how do your body affect the snowboard? And now how does your body board work in relation to the mountain? So that's like that structure. And then we get super nerdy about a bunch of other stuff. And so then there's that. And then I have like a freestyle component, which is just tricks, jumps, rails, all sorts of like playful stuff. And that's a different component. And my goal is to be able to serve the market. So I made an online course before I had a single Instagram follower. And I had a course, I made it, and it was very freestyle dominant. Well, I could probably argue that 80% of snowboarders don't do freestyle. So now I'm selling to the smallest group over here. And kind of a funny random story that the viewers will like. I made this course 4 years ago, put it out there, put it on some YouTube videos and forgot about it. I randomly was going through my metrics, just seeing like, randomly one day, like, how is this doing? I'm like, in the last 4 years, it's made me $14,000. I had no idea.
Oh, wow.
And that's with a course that is selling to the smallest subset of our audience that doesn't really relate to most people. I was like, wow, there's something here. I can do a good job creating a service. Now, as you get a lesson in snowboarding, you may get a private lesson for 6 hours and it's $1,600. The problem with that is you may get somebody who's never even taught before, or you get an expert. So you go there, it's a gamble. The other problem is I just got a 6-hour lesson from an expert for $1,600. Realistically, I remember one or two things. So the problem is I spend a lot of money, it's a gamble, or I don't remember anything. So my goal for my online lesson is to be able to have me in your ear. And if you want to watch this video 365 days in a row, you can. You're not going to forget anything. You're going to remember it. And if you do forget it, you can go back. You exactly know what I said at what time. Like that private lesson in person, you're like, what did that guy say? I don't even remember. And how do I get a hold of him? So it's like, at the end of the day, I want to make an impact on snowboarders so that they're better and they're more awesome. And I truly believe that online is an incredible means to learning. Through the Instagram, obviously people are learning a bunch and there's like a proof of concept of how many followers I have through educational content. But how do I step that up to actually make a linear progression for you? Because on Instagram, you just get a bunch of highlight reels and this is fun and inspirational. It's awesome, but it's not linear. So that's kind of my goal with the whole course thing.
Yeah. How is that going so far?
Good. I'm slightly waiting for the season to come up. We made a couple $1,000s on it already, which I was stoked. And then the first day I made $1,000. The next day I made another $1,000. The next day I made another $1,000. I'm like, this is amazing. So I'm really excited about that. And then I have a couple ideas for getting people in. I think the biggest thing I need to do is drive traffic to the website. And if I can get the numbers to the website, I think it's going to do really good. So my goal is to do pay per clicks. And when you type in whatever resort snowboard lesson, I'm buying their exact ad for a snowboard lesson right with them.
Yeah, that's smart.
If you go to another resort, you can see my ad. So anytime you type that in, you can see mine. And the best part about mine is you can start, the moment you buy my course, you can start learning, start progressing, start understanding concepts. When I book something for 4 weeks from now, I have to wait. I don't get any value. This day and age, it's instant gratification. Guess what? Log in, boom. You can right from the get-go, you're going to learn something. And I truly believe you understand body positions at the right time, it will change everything. And you get to do that right away, right now.
Yeah, that's really smart. I've done a lesson. I'm a very, unskilled snowboarder. But you do forget things, even when you have a day on the mountain, I think, because when you're new, like me, like you're also terrified.
Don't lie. We can do backflips.
No.
I know that.
One day though. But yeah, you're terrified too. So the adrenaline's going, and I think it does affect memory and stuff. So I do think if I was able to buy a course that I could keep referring back to, even like on breaks while I'm still on the mountain, and then go out and implement, like that would be a game changer. So I love that. Tommie, I think a lot of people, especially in your position, because you have a lot of admirers and fans, and you really have built this really impressive brand, and you have all these things going on. Everyone is always struggling with kind of like time management. And how do you form like your life to have time to make all this content and build, Bennett Tech, do summer camp, and now managing this online course?
One double-edged sword about our industry is it's seasonal. That allows me from approximately May to October to work on all these like side hustles, all these projects. So I'm working on Bennett Tech, I'm working on online courses, I'm working on all these things during that time. And once the season hits, most of that stuff's done. The website's done, this is done. So then the season hits, now I can just change gears to the next thing, which is going to be create content and edit and then do that. So like for me, I've been very fortunate where it's like, I'm not juggling everything all at once. It is in like a linear sequential manner. It's this, then that, then that. And then when so right now in October, I'm promoting Bennett Tech and the online course because most people are going to ski during like a holiday break or like winter break. They're going to ski during that time or snowboard during that time. So I'm focused on those two things. Once that's done, I'm now moving into summer camp because now they're like, oh, I don't get to snowboard for a while. This is a bummer, FOMO. boom, I'm gonna hit you with that. Come to summer camp, extend your summer, extend your season, come out for a vacation, learn a bunch of stuff with us. So it's like this like sequence of movements, which helps me because I love having a project. I love having something to work on. I love something different and diverse. And maybe that's why I have so many things going on. But it's not a lot if I just structure it in that linear way.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Do you have any regrets, like leaving full-time snowboard instructing, like with resorts, to doing what you're doing now?
No regrets. Sometimes fear creeps in, and I think it would be easier if I just went back to a traditional 9 to 5 job, whether that's in an office, whether that's instructing, because you get to go work there, and then as soon as the day's done, you're done.
Yeah.
How many times do I stay up until 2 o'clock in the morning editing? How many times do I wake up in the middle of the night thinking about this, that, and the other thing that I got to do, and I got to respond to this email? That is tough, and it's not for everyone. And sometimes I think that, and it's mostly fear because the season's about to come, and I don't know if I've done it right, and I don't know if these products are perfect, and like that's when that thought comes in. But then I think about back to what we started in the beginning of this podcast is, well, then I wouldn't have the freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And I would rather just do my own thing. And so I wouldn't regret it. Absolutely not. But sometimes fear creeps in and I have those thoughts. But I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to go back to that. I'm good. I'm good. I'd rather go snowboard and hang out with my friends and have the life that I've created versus just giving up.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Even as an agency owner and an entrepreneur, I'd rather make less money doing my own thing than having like a 9 to 5. And I think some people are just born that way too, where you're like, I don't want to be told what to do. I want freedom, and I'm definitely in that boat too.
And I think about it as you staying at a job, because I moved across country and worked for a private boarding school, and I was the head snowboard coach. And you think that your traditional job is safe and that our lifestyle is risky. I could argue the exact opposite. Having that job with a boss who doesn't like you, who's going to try to get you fired, who's going to roadblock you from getting a promotion, you have no control. You could have done the most amazing job in the entire world, and you're threatening somebody, you can get fired at any point.
Yeah.
That to me is what true risk is, because you're comfortable and then you're SOL. You're out on the street. What are you going to do? It's too late. At least with our space, you're just like an entrepreneur learning it on your own. If I mess up, I get to learn from it and figure it out and solve the problems versus just getting fired and then what?
Yeah.
It's so risky having a 9 to 5.
I completely agree. I think I made a post about this on Threads recently, that it is like, I think it's more risky to just have, climb like a corporate ladder and have a 9 to 5, because when you're fired, even, 20 years from now, especially if you age out or, there's other hurdles, it's like really hard to get back in. So I think it's less risky to build something that you own, that, has like equity in different ways over time. So I completely agree with you.
Yeah, and it's scary regardless. You get comfortable, you get fired. Here,
Yeah.
I'm putting a lot of my own money into this, hoping it works, but it's up to me. If anything goes wrong, it's my fault. And I can take ownership of that. And I'm a big firm believer of like, I'm not blaming anyone else. If anything bad goes wrong, it's my fault. If I have a terrible employee, I chose them. That's on me. If the inventory's bad, that's on me because I chose the manufacturer or I let it slide. Like at the end of the day, it's all in my control in the decisions that I make.
Yeah.
Terrifying,
Yeah.
but at least you can acknowledge that and change that and you can create a solution. If you have a problem, like so many of these big corporations still like cars getting, when you have like a faulty product, they get recalled. That still happens to these massive corporations who have been in business for 100 years. It also makes me feel a little bit more comfortable of like, if I mess up, like that's okay. You're going to do everything you can to do it right and give them a refund. We had some issues with some zippers and some people were bummed. They got jackets. They were not awesome. I am pissed and devastated. So what I do is give them a free exchange. I give them a free pair of goggles. I'm doing everything I can to salvage that relationship because I care.
Yeah.
But that's also terrifying because it's like, I want to make sure everything's good, but sometimes it isn't.
Yeah, that's the risk too. As a startup founder and entrepreneur, you're going to have those like road bumps with products. Well, I'm super excited for you and everything you're building. Kind of looking forward, like, is there anything on the horizon that we should be on the lookout for?
I always got stuff brewing up. Just continuing to make Benetech as awesome as possible. My goal is to have my own waterproof material that's superior to anything on the market. So eventually, in the next 3 to 5 years, I want to be able to create something like that. We also have some puffy jackets coming out, and puffy jackets are like goose down jackets that are super lightweight and super agile, yet you're extremely warm. So we came up with this concept. One of the biggest challenges with puppies is like in the morning it's cold, in the midday it's like kind of hot. So we have this like really cool ventilation system that allows the air to go through to, so you don't have back sweat. It's kind of weird, I know. But like try to like alleviate that, have something that's like super awesome. So that and just really fun colors, really functional products. Yeah, I'm really excited about all that stuff.
Sweet.
Also, I'm gonna interrupt. One thing that I love is we're coming out. This is so funny. When you buy, like we have this Benetech X line, it's like our higher end product line. One of my biggest beefs with a lot of the other companies is like you buy a t-shirt, you get it gets delivered in a little crappy plastic little bag. Terrible.
Yeah.
You go buy this $600 jacket, shows up in a crappy plastic bag. So I'm like, cool, like how do we create a better customer experience? Well, my goal is to have we're making these boxes. So when you get our Benetech X line, it comes in this nice box and it folds over and it has magnets. You open it up and it like displays it. And now it's Instagrammable.
Yeah.
It's also a good customer experience because what you don't want is buyer's remorse. So the moment you get the box, guess what? You're like, oh my God, this is amazing. I just justified the expense of the jacket and I can go Instagram it and I'm like stoked on it. I can't wait to wear it. That customer experience is things that we're constantly thinking about of making like them just so excited and like I would buy this again or send it to my friend, check out this thing I just got, versus the old experiences. Plastic bag I just threw away and now I'm like, yeah, the jacket's cool. It's a different experience. So I'm really excited about that. It's like a box. It's so dumb, but I'm so excited.
No, that's exciting. I love packaging design. And like, because we do that at Posture too. And like that experience when you receive something and you open it, it can be special and it can make or break having that lifelong loyalty or like you said, like someone sharing it on social. So I think it's smart and I think it is worth investing in. So I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. It looks clean. It looks mean. I'm so excited. It's so simple, but I'm so stoked.
Sick. Well, thank you, Tommie, for coming on to Deepfeed and sharing all this awesome wisdom with us. And I'm really, really stoked to keep on top of what you're doing.
Heck yeah, well, I appreciate you letting me come on and hang out and vibe.